The draft is over. We now signed undrafted rookies. Let's talk about it. What is up, Fin fans? Like I said in my intro, draft is now over. We are officially done. I'm going to give you my full draft grade. I'm going to talk about all of the 12 picks. I have to look down at the number. 12 picks we had. Give you guys a breakdown of my grade for each of them. I gave you a little bit of it in the other 2-3 videos, but I'm going to give you a full breakdown of that. We're going to talk about some of the cuts that were made. Some people were signed, and we have undrafted rookies. So I'm going to talk about that. Before we jump into any of that, real quick shout out to new Patreon, Jesse Fawcett. Hope I said your name right. $4 Patreon. If you guys don't know what a Patreon is, a lot of guys ask me like, hey, Doug, I noticed you're saying, Patreons, all that stuff. What necessarily is a Patreon? It's a monthly membership, and you get special perks to the channel. There's I think I have 3 different tiers right now. I'm going to start posting stuff just for you guys over on the Patreon, but also the MVP, the $20 tier. You guys are going to start coming on live streams with me so we can talk about Dolphins and stuff like that. But you guys get first dibs at comment of the day. You also get a shout out at the beginning of the video, and you also become a moderator during my live streams. Help me out there. So if you guys want to join the Patreon, don't feel like you need to. If you don't, that's fine and dandy. Links below. Also, if you want to grab yourself some merch, I have t-shirts and hoodies. That's also linked below. So let's jump into some of the news that has happened. So yes, we finished the draft. 3 days of the draft, a beautiful, beautiful draft. 12 picks in the draft. We went from having 14 picks to 15 picks and then only making 12 picks. I will talk about all 12. I'll give you my grade for all 12, and I'll tell you how we went about doing things and getting to where we were. Also, undrafted rookies, we have 8 of them. Not as much as last year, but we have 8 undrafted rookies that we brought in, and we made 4 cuts and 1 signing, and that's what I'm going to talk about right now. Kevon Frazier, safety, he was on the Cowboys. We pick him up, we sign him, and then we have 4 cuts. Terrell Hanks, the linebacker, safety, Montre Hardage, long snapper, Tabor Pepper, which obviously when we drafted our long snapper in the 6th round, he became expendable, and running back Samaj Perrin have been cut. Those 4 guys have been cut to get us back closer to that 90 player cap range where we need to be. You have to have 90 players. Also, really quick before I jump into the fat of this video, the Dolphins are going to still have like off-season training stuff, but it's more going to be virtual. So these rookies and guys that are new to the team, they're going to have online sessions talking about the team, talking about the playbooks, all of that stuff. So there's still somewhat of training going on, but it's not to the extent that it used to be, where they come in, OTAs, hand them their playbooks, all that stuff. So let's jump into it and let's talk about this draft. Like I said, Miami Dolphins started the draft with 14 draft picks, then ended up with 15, making a trade back from 26 to 30 with the Green Bay Packers, and then ended up only picking 12 and picking up an extra pick next year. So how many picks do the Dolphins have next year, being that they had 3 first rounds this year, 2 seconds, 1 3. They had 6 in the first 3 rounds. Next year, they only have 5 in the first 3 rounds. Still pretty good if you ask me. They have 2 1s, 2 2s, and a 3 next year. So they went from having 6 to 5. Still happy with that. They also have 1 4, 1 5, 2 6s because of a trade that they did, and 1 7. So next year they have 10 draft picks. Could that change? Of course. People get moved. People can get traded. We can pick up later round, 5th rounders, all that stuff. Things could happen. But as of right now, next year, the Miami Dolphins have 10 first-round picks. Again, 2 1s, 2 2s, 1 3, 4, 5, 2 6s, and 1 7. So like I said, Miami Dolphins made some moves. Let's talk about it. First pick, the number 5 pick, Tua Tagovailoa. If you guys want to know how I said his full name, Tua Tagovailoa, Tagovailoa, quarterback out of Alabama. I love this guy. Love this quarterback out of Alabama. Love everything about his passing, about his pocket presence, about everything. The injury history does worry me. I'm not going to act like it doesn't worry me. I'm not going to act like it's not a thing. But I will say this. The upside is so big you cannot pull the trigger on, not pull the trigger on it. The risk to reward is so big. Yes, there's a huge risk, but there's also such a huge reward. I absolutely love the pick. If you guys haven't seen that reaction, Tua Tagovailoa! Yes! I give that player pick an A. Makes me very happy. I like that one. Then at 18, we took Austin Jackson, offensive tackle. Sorry for rubbing my nose. USC. Now, every time I did a mock draft, yes, by the time I got to 18, when I took a quarterback at 1, all of a sudden there was no top tackles. And that it actually swung a different way, because normally these mock drafts, Giants took Clemson, linebacker, Isaiah Simmons, or they took someone else, Derek Brown. But this time they took Andrew Thomas. So there was only 3 on the board. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers switched with the 49ers. They ended up taking Wirfs. Thought he would somehow fall to Miami at 18. Didn't, and the Dolphins pulled the trigger on Austin Jackson, USC tackle. I'm not too happy with this pick. He's raw. He's young. He's about 20. He's super raw. He's got a ton of talent, but he's super raw. He can, end up being a very great left tackle for us. But it's for that 18th pick, I wish they would have gone in a different direction. Maybe went safety. Maybe grabbed something different. But I'm not hating the pick. I'm hating where the pick was taken. So I'm going to give this guy a C+. Then we get to number 30. We traded back with the Green Bay Packers, picked up a 4th round pick, which then we use again. Picked up a 4th round pick, dropped back to 30, and we take cornerback Noah Igbinoghene. Takes a while to learn these names, from Auburn. At first, I was like, when I saw them trade back, I was like, all right, cool. They'll take, safety, because Grant Talbot was still on the board. McKinney was still on the board. Wingfield was on the board. I was like, they could take Cesar Ruiz here. I was like, they could take the, DeAndre Swift, J.K. Dobbins. They could take anybody here. Let's see what they're going to do. And they took a cornerback. So, again, if you go back and watch the reaction, I was very dumbfounded. Igbinoghene? What? You got to watch the man's tape. You got to watch how he plays, and you got to see and listen to people talk about him. And he was probably ranked pretty high on some people's cornerback boards. He's a very big, physical, loves man-to-man type corner, essential to what Brian Flores loves to do. I like this move. It's not sexy. It's not the top pick. It's nothing I really expected, but I did give it a solid B. I do like this pick after looking at his film, after looking at his tape. Like I said, I didn't really expect the Dolphins to pull a trigger on a corner soon, so I didn't look at any of the top corners really, besides, CJ Henderson, or Okudah. I looked at them, but then I didn't really look at any more depth, because I honestly didn't think the Dolphins would take one, and they took one. And when you look at them, not bad. So give this one a B. Then we jump into the second round. And with our first pick in the second round, pick number 39, they go for Robert Hunt, guard/tackle out of Louisiana. Now, again, there was different players on the board. I'll talk about that after I grade all these players. But a lot of people were looking at the Dolphins draft and saying, why would you take this person when this person was on the board? Why would you do this when you could have done this? And I'll talk about that. But they took Robert Hunt. He's a beast. The man will run you over, and if he gets hands on you, you're going to the ground. And if he gets to the second level, you might as well just call your mom, tell her to pull the minivan around front, and put your karate stuff in your bag and get in there, because you're going to get owned. When it comes to pass protection, he's not that great, but he's super physical, super big guy. I like the move. I do like the move. I give it a solid B. Again, there's other players there, but I do like the pick. I do like the player. Then we get to pick number 56. Now, pick number 56 was a nail biter to get to, because J.K. Dobbins kept falling in the second round. He kept falling and falling. And then at pick 55, there's the Baltimore Ravens. And the Baltimore Ravens love to stick it to the Miami Dolphins, especially when it comes to players that I want, because a few years ago I wanted C.J. Mosley. They picked him right before the Dolphins. J.K. Dobbins goes to the Ravens right before the Dolphins at 55. At first, I was like, why didn't you just trade up one? You could have gave up like a 5th just to go up in front of the Ravens, get that running back, especially when reports came out saying that the Dolphins wanted J.K. Dobbins. They were hoping he fell there. So I was like, why wouldn't you just trade up? Why'd you wait? And then they took Raekwon Davis, defensive tackle from Alabama, and I was very happy, man. If you guys have watched my mock drafts, if you guys have watched me talk about who, some of the top players, the top positions I want the Dolphins to address, and I'd be happy Raekwon Davis was a name I dropped a bunch of times. Super long arms, super physical defensive tackle. After 2017, his production did start to dip. He started to, there's some technique that he needed to work on, especially on his pass rushing. But he's a big physical, helped stop the run defensive tackle / defensive end. Another versatile guy. You're going to notice that with a lot of these draft picks, they fit Brian Flores' scheme. Him and Greer were best friends on that night, taking the players that fit the scheme. I love this pick. This one is also going to get an A. Absolutely love the pick. And then at number 70, the last pick on day 2, the Dolphins took Brandon Jones, safety out of Texas, which then, again, a little what? He was a smart guy. This safety is very smart. He's, he can play slot corner. He can play in the box. He can play back in zone coverage. And he's very smart. If you guys watch my reaction video, he watched 4 days of defensive tape on all 32 teams and broke it down for them because he couldn't perform at the combine with a labrum tear. Very smart safety. But again, I just didn't like the pick there. I've heard some reporters saying that the Jets wanted him and were upset the Dolphins took him at 30. We'll see if that's true or not. We don't know. Give this one a C+. I didn't love it, but it's not bad. Then we get to the last day of the draft. This is the day that the Dolphins decided, hey, we're going to get sexy on you. We're going to start making some $1 million moves. Kind of wish they did a little bit more in day 2. Wish they would have made a little bit more moves. But, hey, they thought to themselves, there's more talent. There's more bulk in day 5 for what we want to do. So day 5, day 3, why do I say day 5? They made their moves. And the first move that they made in day 3 is they traded their 2 4s, the one they got from the Packers, and their their cop pink from Juwan James, and they move up to 111 to take Solomon Kindley. I don't know if one of you guys told me I'm not saying the name right, but it is what it is. Guard from Georgia, another big guy. People are, Solomon Grundy. If you guys know, I'm a huge Batman fan. I love me some Solomon Grundy. Big guy, long arms, physical, big, moving dude. Again, his mobility when it comes to side and pass protection needs some help, but he's just a bull of a guard, just going to run you over. This is what the Dolphins are doing. They're taking these trenches and they're just making muscle bully guys to get after the quarterback, to stop the run, and to protect our players. Like this pick a lot. Surprised me that they traded up for him, but I do like this pick a lot. I'm giving this one a B. Then the Dolphins had back-to-back picks. They had 153 and 154 in the 5th round. So they traded up in the 4th, then waited, had back-to-back picks, and everyone was saying, why did the Dolphins wait on running back? Why the heck did they wait so long to take a running back? J.K. Dobbins, DeAndre Swift, Jonathan Taylor, Cam Akers, even A.J. Dillon, Avery Moss. Like, what are they waiting for? Are they content with Jordan Howard? Are they content with Patrick Laird? Are they content with Gaskins? What are they doing? Well, this is what they're doing, boys. They traded the 5th round pick, number 153, to the San Francisco 49ers for Matt Breida. And I'm giving this one an A. Love the move. It's a good contrast with Howard. Speed, power, love it. 5.1 yards a carry when he was running yesterday. When he was running yesterday outside my block, down my street, I said, yo, Matt, slow it down. You got to be good for this season. When he was running last season, really loved this move, especially for a 5th round pick. We don't have to worry about him having bone-on-bone issues in his knee. Absolutely love this pick. So I give this one an A. Great move by them. Now, there was stories that they were talking to the Jaguars about getting Fournette. That fell through. And even in the during free agency, they were talking to the Rams about getting Gurley. That fell through. And they get Matt Breida for a 5th round pick. Love it. Next pick, they take Jason Strawbridge, defensive end / defensive tackle from North Carolina. Give this one an A. If you guys watch my video, the second day recap and grades at the very end, not the very end, but after I talk about these players, I name about 5 players I want the Dolphins to get, and they got 2 of them. And it made me very happy. This was one of them. Jason Strawbridge, another big, long-armed, physical defensive end / defensive tackle, can play both positions. Again, like I said, the Dolphins are looking for versatility. We want you to play everywhere, anywhere. If someone gets hurt, we need to come in, help out. That's what they got with Jason Strawbridge. Love the pick. Then they traded. They traded up. They traded a 7 and a 5th to move up to 164, and they took Curtis Weaver, defensive end from Boise State. The fact that he was still there in the 5th round, the fact that the Dolphins were able to get up and get him, back-to-back players on my list they took, back-to-back. I'm giving this one an A. Love the move. Absolutely love the move. Another guy that can help, another guy on the edge. They were comparing him to Barnett, the guy I wanted before we took Charles Harris and the Eagles took him, the Tennessee defensive end. Love that move. Give that one an A as well. Then we get to 185, 6th round. And the Miami Dolphins take Blake Ferguson, long snapper from LSU. Now, Blake Ferguson is probably very appreciative of the Dolphins taking him. He's the earliest long snapper ever taken in the modern era of the draft. Dolphins take him. The pick is just the pick at this point. 6th round, yeah, there was probably better people there even in 7th round, but was he going to become undrafted? You never know. And if the Dolphins like it, and if the Dolphins think, hey, we wanted to get him because we don't think he'd make it there, then cool. I'm still going to give it a C+. Not too excited about that one. But I'm gonna let it go. Then number 7th round, 246, Malcolm Perry, the Taysom Hill, Swiss Army knife of offense, played wide receiver, running back, and quarterback. If you go and watch his play on Navy and the speed this dude has and the mismatches he makes, just ridiculous. Love this pick. Giving it a B+. And then their last 7th round pick, they traded it to the Seattle Seahawks and got a 6 next year. And that's why we have 10 picks next year. Got a 6 next year. Because they probably were like, there's no one else. We'll just start focusing on undrafted guys. But before I talk about the undrafted guys, I want to give you guys a rough synopsis and a full grade of the draft to me. I like this draft. The Dolphins did what the Dolphins wanted to do. Focused very much on the trenches. They got the quarterback. They got the guy they wanted, the guy a lot of people wanted to say they always wanted. Then they were like, we need to protect this guy, and we need to build around him, and we need to stop the run, and we need to stop having such a crappy offensive defensive line. I've told you guys time and time again, you're always asking me, hey, can the Dolphins make the playoffs this year? Hey, can the Dolphins make the playoffs this year? And I said to you, if the Miami Dolphins can have a top 5 defensive line, top 5 offensive line, yes, they can, and they can win the division. Well, they added a ton of defense and offensive line in this draft. Love this draft. Love what they do. Love that they stayed focused, picked their players, didn't listen to anyone else. I'm giving this draft a B+. Love it. There was a few C's in there. I gave about 3 C's, a few B-. I gave about 4 A's, roughly about a B+. Love this draft. I love what they did. I love that they stuck with it. Now, with this draft, it's going to cost them about $16.8 million to sign these draft players. It's going to leave them about $7 million in cap. They normally around 7 to 15 million they like to take into the season for, emergencies and stuff like that. Also, they still got Albert Wilson in the wings. They can cut him, save about 10 million, go back up to 17 million. We'll see if they do that. I keep hearing that they really like Albert Wilson and the way he played at the end of the season. I wouldn't be surprised if they kept him throughout training camp. But like I said, really, really liking this draft. Now let's talk about undrafted guys. Now, to look at the undrafted guys and think to yourself, who really gives a crap? There's a lot of good and current NFL players that went undrafted. We got Preston Williams, one of our guys now. Albert Wilson, another one of our guys now. There's a lot of good players that went undrafted. Cam Wake went undrafted. A lot of good guys went undrafted. Now, some of these names aren't popping out as sexy picks for me. Like a Preston Williams style, except for one guy, and I'll talk about him last. But we picked up defensive tackle Benito Jones from Ole Miss. We picked up offensive guard / center Donnell Stanley from South Carolina. We picked up offensive lineman Nick Kettlemeyer from Kansas State. We picked up defensive lineman Bryce Stirk from Montana State. Defensive lineman Ray Lima from Iowa State. Wide receiver Kirk Merritt from Arkansas State. And wide receiver Matt Cole from McKendree University. And then the last guy is the guy I want to talk about, the guy that intrigued me, and that is edge rusher Tyson Render from Tennessee State. And the reason why, I think it was South Tennessee State. I might have wrote it down wrong. You guys will correct me below. The reason why I'm really interested in this guy is because the Patriots liked him a lot, to the point where Bill Belichick left the scouting combine and left all this stuff to work on this guy one-on-one and train him. Miami Dolphins went and scooped him up. Like I said, a lot of these guys are more like, we'll see what they can do. If they pan out, great. If not, no harm, no foul. But those are the guys that we picked up. Now, when it comes to this team and when it comes to a lot of people talking about, well, Doug, they reached on certain players and they did this on certain players and they did that on certain players. We don't know. And to look at what other experts and scout experts and analysts grade certain players is just, it's something you can't do. You got to let the players play. You got to let them get trained. You got to let the coaches coach and see what happens. Now, I gave a ton of grades. My grades don't mean diddly squat, especially because I'm sitting in an office surrounded by Dolphin stuff, and a lot of people like to tell me I'm too positive and I don't look on the opposite side of things and I'm not objective. I hear it all the time and it makes me laugh. A lot of people will look at what experts say and say, oh, our draft sucked. Look at what the experts are saying, which the experts are actually giving this Dolphins draft about a B+. We're actually getting really good grades for our draft. But a lot of people are like, oh, God, this one graded off Austin Jackson like this, and this one graded off this one like this. And I went back and I looked at some of the previous grades. And this is why you really shouldn't take what analysts and experts and scout mocks and all that stuff are giving grades, because they're wrong a good amount of time. 2016 draft, right? Joey Bosa got a C+ grade. I think Joey Bosa is pretty good. Jack Conklin, the guy who everyone wanted to get and signed a huge right tackle contract, got a D+ in his draft. Rob Kimdichie, the guy who's on no team because he constantly gets in trouble and they just cutting his ass, A-. They gave him an A-. Look at 2017. Christian McCaffrey. What do you think they gave him? One of the best running backs in this league, if not the best running back in this league, a D. They gave him a D grade in that draft. Patrick Mahomes, C-. So a lot of people were saying he's a project. Don't expect him to be anything good for a while. Deshaun Watson, C+. But then they give Charles Harris an A grade and they give Taco Charlton an A-. And then in 2018, Saquon Barkley, they gave that pick a C+. A C+. So like I said, we can look at grades, and I gave grades and stuff, but we won't know until they play. We can't say how good they are, and we can't say how bad they are until they play. The great ones can pan out to be doo-doo, and the doo-doo ones can pan out to be great. We don't know. Give it time. You can look at the picks, say you like the picks like I did, but don't get so angry about it. I'll say that. Don't get so angry about it. But be sure to comment below. I want to know your grades. Even though I just kind of poo-pooed on grades, don't listen to me because I'm an idiot. I want to know your grades. What did you give this entire draft? What did you give the entire draft? Who is your favorite player we took, and who is your least favorite player you took, and why? Comment below. I want to know why, and I'm going to get to comment of the day. This comment comes from FinSport Football, who's one of my new Patreons, and he says, comment of the day. I'm so happy we stuck with the plan of building up the trenches first, because now we have 4 picks in the first 2 rounds next year to get those flashy players that can take the team to the next level. And what better timing than right before Tua's first year as a starter in 2021. Love the comment, because I can address 2 things in that. One, yes, Dolphins went drenches. They went hard-nosed guys. They didn't go sexy pick. They built through the bottom up. I keep saying that, bottom up. Built through the studs. So now next year, with the top 4 picks that we have, you can go for the sexy, maybe wide receivers, running backs, safeties, all that stuff. Those sexy picks that we desperately need next year. We could take a top running back. We can trade back in the first, get more first-round picks, and take those sexy players. The other thing he mentioned is next year, 2021, after we make that draft, that's Tua's first year. A good amount of people think that Tua's going to be starting in 2020. I'll bet you anything but money that Tua won't be starting in 2020. I'll bet you anything. That's not crazy, but I bet you Tua needs to sit Yes, a lot of people think, hey, he was the 5th pick. We need to have him start. He needs to start. No, he doesn't. Especially not behind an offensive line that was just put together, an offensive line that has no continuity, an offensive line that might give him some trouble. No, he doesn't need to. They brought Fitzpatrick back for a reason, and they still have Josh Rosen on the team for a reason. Not saying that he won't compete, not saying he won't do his thing, but I honestly don't think that Tua should or will start this year. Will he play it towards the butt end of the season? Sure, it could happen, but I don't think so because I think the Dolphins are going to be super competitive, especially with Fitzpatrick on the team. Look what he did with the Jets, taking them to about a 10-6 team. I honestly think that Tua needs to sit, learn, and then he'll start 2021. This is his team for 2021. I'm very excited for that. But thank you, FinSport Football, for leaving that comment. But like usual, be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Have great conversations with you guys. I almost broke 2,000 Twitter followers. So if you have a Twitter, be sure to go over, check me out, follow me there. Also, be sure to check out my other channels, which is the Bit Boys, is a gaming channel I have, and DouglieDoWrong Studios. I'm going to start posting more on there because now I have the time that the draft's over. I can take a breath and move on with that stuff. Also, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. The draft is over. Now it's time to put the pieces together. It's time to start learning the playbooks and hopefully start to do some football things. Hopefully. We can only sit back and pray. But hopefully. So give this video a thumbs up for that and because you like the content. Also, check out DolphinsTalk.com. Great website. It's got a great ton of Dolphin content on there. So be sure to go over, check it out. Also, hit that subscribe button. If you don't hit the subscribe button, you don't hit the bell, you won't know when I'm live. Saturday, 1 p.m. I'm going to talk all draft with you live. Love interacting with you guys during my live stream, so I hope to see all you guys there live 1 p.m. Saturday. But other than that, I will see you guys in the next video, either going to be on probably Wednesday. I like to go intermediate days, so I'll see you guys Wednesday with the next video. But other than that, like usual, stay classy. Fins up.